It all starts with one generation making the right decision. Where we are today is because someone in our family decided to do the right things, maybe not for their glory or their time, but so their son or their grandson could have a better life, and that's how you build wealth in this country. When you're working for something other than yourself, your grind and your passion is so much higher.
Welcome to Inner Pump, where we help driven individuals get the most out of life and build the inner mastery to drive growth, confidence, discipline, and mental fortitude, where overcoming adversity means doing the things you know you should do. Real topics, real people, real business. I'm your host, Ajay. Let's get it. This is Inner Pump.
Let's get it. How y'all doing today, man? How y'all feeling?
Man, feeling good. Another day.
Dude, I was walking through. I do this like twice a week, where I walk through my house and I just randomly will think of the intro music, and I'll just look at Shane and say, "Let's get it."
Is that not what I texted you?
I just kid you not. Okay, this dude texted me. Hold on. Let's give our guest a beautiful introduction.
It's every time I hear the intro, it triggers me, man.
We got former 5-star athlete, Alabama commit, has a crazy story. Fell out of Alabama. He is here today in wealth management. We got my boy.
Get on YouTube. Look at his fit right now.
Just look at. Hey,
man, I come in a quarter zip and you got a t-shirt on, and he's
definitely showing us up, guys. For y'all who are listening, this man is definitely showing us up. But we have our boy David Cornwell in the building, baby.
Thanks, Ajay.
How you
appreciate
feeling?
you guys having me on. Feel great. I wanted to come in with the suit. I wanted to make you feel uncomfortable. I knew you were going to be wearing a t-shirt. It's 6:45 in the morning. Here we go.
First morning pod.
Hey, wait, hold on. What did Coach Prime say? When you the man, you already know you the man. You don't have to.
No. You don't know the quote, do you?
What is the quote? What's the actual quote?
Let's
hear it, man.
I know it, but I want you to deliver it. Oh, yeah.
Look good, feel good. Feel good, play good. Play good, pay good.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't the quote I was looking for, but that's a great quote.
That's the one I thought he was going to go with.
No, man, it's one that went viral where he was like, when you the man, you don't have to say you the man. It was just, it's a great quote. Yeah. Long story short. But, man, let's, before we get into your story, bro, how's everything been, man? You good?
Man, it's fantastic.
How you feeling?
Hey, every day doing the same thing, just like Coach Saban taught us. You know, we're doing the same schedule. Same workouts, same everything. Every morning, wake up to coffee, hit it hard, grind. It's just, it doesn't get old when you do that. And that's kind of the best part. And, you know, when you're 40, 30, 20, it's always the same. Just keep rolling with different goals, different tasks. So, hey, another day to wake up. Instead of coffee this morning, we got coffee in a pod. We got two guys we're talking to, excited to share the message, excited to share where I've came from, and just really have a good conversation.
Let's start there. You gave a little tease about 5-star quarter. That doesn't just happen. I mean, being 6'5", you guys should see this guy. He's a good guy. That helps.
Before we even get to there, let's tell the audience, for those of you listening and have never played football, being a 5-star athlete out of high school, that's like the 0.01% of the 1%. So that just puts some validation on who this man is.
Yeah, it was anything but a typical journey, and I'm gonna try to keep this short because it's a long journey. But so as a 5-star, you're usually, I'd say freshman, sophomore year, you're identified. As freshman to sophomore, I hadn't played a single down to high school football yet, so it was a bit of a weird journey. Grew up in Nebraska, didn't played on the JV squad. They told me you weren't going to play here. So my dad gets a different job. We go down to Florida. Whole different ball game than Omaha, Nebraska. I guarantee you that. It's hot, different people, different culture, everything. So get down there. My dad's down there to save a client for his business. Still don't play. So I'm transferring back. Well, and my mom gets sick. So before the football season, I decided to step away. She's sick. You always take care of your family, right? If your son was sick, if your mom was sick, I think you'd stop what you're doing and go and help her. And that was really important to me. And yeah, it was a tough time watching your mom, the one that raised you.
Freshman, sophomore?
I was a sophomore, yeah. So it was spring, going into spring ball. She just stops like being able to sleep. So every day I'm like, hey, Mom, how you doing? Right? You wake up, breakfast, hey, Mom, how you doing? I'm all right. Hey, Mom, how you doing? And it just slowly kind of declines. And I'm like, we got a situation here. You're like, so anywho, everything turns out good, but I have to take off school because I'm not going to go to school. I'm not going to play football while my mom's sick at home. So I come home, I'm doing all the housework. My dad's still working. You got to have money, right? Sure. And he's doing his best to manage a job, the client we had to save, right, and his wife. And that's the first time I got to see my dad, like, lead by example, not just talk. Like, watching him see his wife, I think we can all imagine what that feels like.
Yeah.
Hopefully we never have to feel that.
Would you want to disclose what was going on?
So it was a thyroid issue. She got diagnosed, usually, so it's hypo or hyper. They flipped it. So instead of being hypo and giving her the meds to speed her up, she was already hyper, and they gave her the meds to speed her up, meaning she couldn't sleep.
Oh.
And they didn't figure out till like 3 weeks in, and it was just tough because she couldn't sleep.
Wow.
Have you ever not slept for a day or two?
Literally one day and I messed up.
A month.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Not good. Yeah. And it was tough to see because you just want to sleep, and she couldn't. So, yeah, that was really hard as a kid. And instead, so it's kind of like the motto is, so what, now what? And she's good, but it's halfway through the semester and you're not in school. I'm doing homeschool with my dad, with my mom helping me out. And what do I do?
Back in Nebraska?
No, we're still in Florida.
Florida, okay.
So we're fish out of water. They've been in Nebraska pretty much their whole life. We're in a new place, new friends, new doctors, everything, trying to go through this as a family. And that's kind of what brought us together. Once again, so what, now what? What are you going to do? Okay, you can't go back to school yet. Need to wait till next semester. Take a mission trip to Africa. And, yeah.
Wow.
So my dad's, he taught me the importance of giving your money away, helping people out. So we had donated through our church to a factory in Africa. And we helped the local people build T-shirts, build in their community, not just give them money so they could go and spend it. Give them a purpose, give them a job, give them something like, hey, we made this T-shirt in our country, our hometown, and we got paid for it. So I get to go and visit international business, see how it works over there. It's French. Got to learn a different language, see how they work, how they communicate. You have a 30-minute conversation in Africa before you do any business. You sit down and just talk. So learning things like that, seeing the smile on a face for a warm meal, seeing how they make $1 a day, US dollar a day, seeing what that's like. Yeah, that's their average salary is $1 a day. And if they get a brick, they put it on their house or on their frame until they have a house. They don't wait all at once because it might be gone. You might have a war. It might be gone. So they just build one brick at a time. Seeing that as a 16-year-old, I'm so happy I did because I imagine the life of the shining lights, 5-star, you're the best in the world, blah, 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 blah. There's a kid, there's a bigger purpose. So, anywho, that's the preface. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. But it says a lot about where I came from and what I learned. Mm-hmm. So,
can I ask you, what was the biggest thing you learned going to Africa?
Life's bigger than what we have here. And we're very privileged as Americans. 1, that we were born here. 2, what we have. And 3, if you're in the upper echelon of this country, how good you have it. Because there's people, I watch children who hadn't seen anything. They'd never seen a white person before, which was funny. So I go into a tribe in the bush, and they're like, whoa. I'm like, hey,
especially
guys.
6'5" white guy.
There you go. Yeah, and I show them an iPhone. Think about that. Show them an iPhone. Guys that are making $1 a day, guys and girls who are making $1 a day see an iPhone, and you take a picture of them, and they see themselves on camera for the first time in their life. And the smile. These guys are wearing tattered old Super Bowl jersey or shirts that the team didn't win, because they sent them over there. And I'm just watching them smile because their mom's making peanuts in a thing, and they're happy. They're hitting the drum and they're happy. Mm-hmm. They don't think how miserable people are here without anything, and how happy they were just living life, singing about God, singing about their family, getting home and knowing I'm alive today.
Yeah,
not a millionaire today. I'm alive today. I got a meal and I got food and I got shelter.
So perspective was everything for you.
Huge. And I know there's different classes within that society. Same. There's people with a house. There's people with power. There's all along. And I saw the people who, man, they would pay $100K to get a 3-4-year-old Toyota shipped over there so they could have a car because you can't go and buy it, the wealthier people. Mm-hmm. So just a different way, but there's still different deals and still different happiness, except it seemed like the lowest was happy that they were alive, which is just so different from here. And that perspective shaped me as like, yeah, as I go forward, like my mom's healthy. I see this, hey, let's get back to work. Mm-hmm. We're back in the States now. So we moved to Oklahoma. And once again, I haven't played a snap. I'm going into my junior year. Remember 5-star, right? So you've been identified as a freshman. No, nothing.
Yeah, this is unheard of.
Yeah.
Well, so you were still a 5-star?
Yeah.
How?
Not at
No,
that
he
time.
wasn't a 5-star
Oh, at
yet.
that
I was
time.
nothing.
Oh, okay.
I was a zero,
Zero star.
That's what I
I
assumed.
hadn't gone to a camp.
That's why I
Yeah.
said it's unheard of.
Yeah.
For this to happen. I
So,
mean,
yeah.
like you said, they're all always identified 8th grade.
Okay.
Freshman
Big.
year.
I'm 6'5" as an 8th grader. No, I was 6'2". I had a back injury because I grew so fast, and the doctor's like, I'm standing there 6 foot or 5'10" my freshman year, and he's like, you're gonna be 6'6" to 6'7". I was like, are you crazy? He's like, look at your hip. Here's the X-ray. This is why your back hurts. You're gonna sprout up. Sure enough, next year sprout up 7 inches or whatever. 6 inches. Yeah, 5'10", 6, 7 inches, anywhere in there.
Damn.
Put on 30 pounds, and I'm 6'4", 230 pounds as a sophomore. Still haven't played. The whole time, I was crafting, and I call it building in the shadows. No one's looking. No one cares. No one cares about this kid from Nebraska. I'm watching kids go to camps, get recognition, all this different stuff. I have nothing.
You get that chip.
But every day, I'm going and surround yourself with the best team. So my dad was really good about that, getting you with the best people possible to make you the best. And I think you guys can speak to that is if you surround yourself with really good people, and this goes to Alabama too, you look better, they look better, we all look better, we all work and grind. And that's the beauty. So anywho, he finds me a really good coach, really good quarterback coach. Whole time. So as a 16-year-old, when I did live in Nebraska, I would fly to Oklahoma by myself. I would get in a taxi. I would take a taxi to a hotel in downtown Oklahoma. He would pick me up for the workouts, and I would do 3 throwing sessions every weekend. Go home, not every weekend, sorry, but like twice a month. And then I'd fly back home, go to school, everything, and just wait till I could go back to Oklahoma again. For nothing. No offers, nothing. I'm just crafting. I'm just building in the shadows. No one knows this story, just going. And no one cares. And then one day, so anyhow, I'll get to the good part here. All right, so.
No, this is the good part,
Man,
bro. I
yeah,
love
that's
this.
the-
This
that's
is
the
where, this is where you pull everything
Well,
out.
yeah, a lot of people just there's a level of entitlement with, and I don't even blame the kid
Yeah.
for that, And I've talked to other people about this. I wasn't a 5-star, and I'm thankful for that because a lot of 5 stars and 4 stars, to your point, unlike you, get identified really early, and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
That people just tell them how good they are, how good they are, how good they are. And because they hadn't put the work in yet, they don't associate work with progress or work
Definitely.
with stars
Yep.
or work with whatever. And that's what I think. I didn't know that about you. I assumed quarterback, no offense, right?
No, that's fine.
I just
Yeah.
made that assumption of like,
Yeah.
keep going.
But I don't know,
powerful.
Matt. Nowadays, hold on, I'm gonna push back on that because nowadays you see these kids grinding. I know kids in my dad's gym that are 5 stars, and they've been working since they were 1st grade, 5 years old, 6 years old. So like today, times may be different, bro. So I just gotta push back on that part.
It's tough because sometimes the stars feels like a development trophy. Yeah. And I did develop late, but I grinded for that period. And like I said, crafting in the shadows and those workouts where no one cares on a 110 field in Oklahoma and there's snakes crawling around sometimes. And my coach is like, I was like, Coach, there's a snake. He's like, great. If you see it, step on it and let's go. You might turn your ankle in a hole in the ground. This is just the kind of coach he is. Lives out in the country, grind hard. And I've been with him. I was with him my entire career because he was the same guy.
What's his name?
His name's Joe Dickinson.
Okay. Shout out
QB,
Coach
yeah.
Dickinson.
QB.
How did your dad grow up to understand? Where did he learn the lesson of progress, investment, risk, perspective?
I love this question.
Where did
question.
he get that?
So my dad came from a town of 1,500 people in Stromsburg, Nebraska. Sorry, that's where he ended. I don't remember the little town. I think it was Walnut Hill. And my grandpa was the first one in our family to go to college. So all of his relatives went to the meatpacking plant and laughed at him. You're going to college? Are you kidding me? What are you doing? Like, you can go make money here. One day the lights go out and one of them takes their finger off. That's why you go to college. So and this is what I love to build with wealth when we get into that, is it all starts with one generation making the right decision. Where we are today is because someone in our family decided to do the right things, maybe not for their glory or their time, but so their son or their grandson could have a better life, and that's how you build wealth in this country.
Come on, bro.
So that's, my grandpa made the conscious decision to go to college. He went and was a teacher. He then became the superintendent of the district. Now, granted, this is small town Nebraska. This isn't whatever Frisco, Prosper, superintendent. This is small town, but for him, it was a big deal. And every time I went to his house as a kid, it was a 90-mile drive. I'd see the golden apple on there for 25 years, 30 years of service in the school, and I learned what hard work was. My dad, all of his family stayed in that small town, never left. So getting to your question about my dad, he took the big bad risk of going to the big town of Omaha. That's pretty funny, huh? Yeah.
That's wild.
The big town of Omaha, big bad Omaha, crime, all this. It's Omaha, you know. So once again, perspective. But to a small town, that's a big deal. And he had the life to be a teacher. He had all that available. And once again, from a young age, he said, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to do whatever it needs to take because I need more. And his work ethic and everything about him is where I learned. And then, man, going from small town Nebraska, bouncing around, didn't know what he wanted to do. And I remember he told me my brother was 1 to 2 years old. I think you mentioned this with your kid. When you're working for something other than yourself, like your family, your grind and your passion is so much higher. So
It's different.
My mom was a nurse. She was the breadwinner. He was at home studying. So he went to Notre Dame for a bit to get his PhD in theology, did different things, went to dental school. Nothing really hit for him. And he's sitting there and he's like taking care of my brother. He's sprinting around the house. He's 2 years old. My mom's a breadwinner. He's like, I got to make some money. Like I need to do something here. And that's when he made the conscious decision. So he's a 36 ACT math. Whole family is 36 ACT math, except for me.
5 stars helps with that.
Yeah. We didn't come here to play school, whatever that quote was. Anywho, but yeah, so he ends up being an actuarial consultant. So he goes in and helps people with healthcare, and he's really good at it. And at every turn, actuaries are known to be boring, numbers, backroom guys. I watched him present for the first time when I was 14. It was insane. Seeing your dad do what he did, his craft, his building. And then I remember as a kid, I'd wake up sometimes at 2 a.m. to go get some milk or something. He's up grinding. He's up emails. He'd travel 3-4 days a week to make his mission and to drive that for us. And when he came home, so I didn't have much of a social life on weekends because my dad was gone working. And the one thing he loves is hard work and family. So whenever he had free time, which wasn't often, we were together as a family. There were no sleepovers for friends. We would go to a family movie. We had our process down. This is funny. We'd leave the house as the movie started. One of us would go buy tickets. One of us would get popcorn. One of us would get seats. And we'd all meet together in family movie night. And as a kid, I hated that because I wasn't with my friends. They're talking about sleepovers or watching a different movie or even parties and stuff that I knew not to ask. And now I know why. Because he had such little time. The last thing he wanted was to be separate from his family. I know. And that's my dad. So not only with that in business, he goes and finds people. And I have so much respect for him. So the other day at 2 a.m., I asked him to do something. He sends me a completed task. This is a man who's 57 and a half years old. He has more money than I think he ever thought he'd have. Doesn't care. It's all about the hard work, working in the shadows. Who's up at 2 a.m. working? Him. At 57.
Especially at what he has.
With nothing to work for other than his team, his family probably.
Yeah.
And showing an example.
That's
even
it.
if we don't see it.
That's it. That's what he cares about.
He and for his business, I'm not going to get into it like exactly what division because it's still going, but he had a chance to just sit back and collect a check, sell the business in about 5 to 10 years, be perfectly fine, take the dividend basically, and go. He invested a lot of money into this company, not to sit on the money, but to go innovate and to build things for business. So, and I'll get into it really quick in about 30 seconds, but so for businesses, you have healthcare. He's basically, put this the right way. He'll let people, so you have one provider. If you lose it or you change, your employer changes, you lose your healthcare or it changes, right? So say you have a pregnancy, you lose your doctor because it's not in the network, right? For him, this lets people shop from about 40 to 50 plans on the high end, about 5 to 10 on the low end. It gives the money to the business and lets the people shop for the plan that's best for them, the employees. And you can stay in that network forever or as long as you work at the company.
Wow.
So instead of the employer, it's the best thing, a weird thing, because the employers still get the money, still the same costs, yet their employees get to choose, hey, you know, who's your wife's best doctor? Great, she can keep her now. Instead of me having to tell you, yeah, sorry, Ajay, we're switching healthcare providers to save 1%. You're going to lose your doctor with your kid. And good luck. You got this new guy, though. He's a 40-minute drive. Hope you enjoy. And as a business, that's not enough to make them stop. The 1 or 2 people that are going to get affected, or a cancer treatment. Say you have cancer, you lose your doctor, you're going to quit the job because that life is more important than work at that point. So for him to craft and build this, 1, for people, 2, to not sit on the money, and 3, not that he did this, but to inspire. I see that as his son, and he lived it. It wasn't talk. It wasn't, son, hey, here's this Instagram. This is cool. Like, he lives it every day, and he doesn't stop. And I ask him, when are you going to stop working? When I'm dead. And I believe him. When I'm dead.
Ajay, you and I have talked about this so much, and we're getting a little off topic, but
Definitely.
Man, like, having parents, this is a thematic thing on our podcast.
Come on, yeah.
And I actually couldn't really pinpoint where my personal drive and competitive spirit and standard came from until I've connected all the dots from talking to folks like y'all. And it's right there. I didn't know anything different because of the standard my parents set quietly. Not through actions or a chart or instructions, but they just did it. And then that's all that I knew how to do. So I didn't blame anybody. I didn't point fingers, and neither do you, because when it gets hard, you just say, well, part of it is I now see what I could do if I do the work. So work is progress. Work is results. Work is not just something short.
No, and you're getting on a really big point, because I look at society today and I'm like, what is going on? But then if you look at the fatherlessness, the rate of that as a society as a whole, it just keeps getting higher and higher on every race, on every demographic. So it's like not every person we have on the podcast, but most people that come on here, they talk about their family, their dad, their mom,
or
their
a
grandparents.
mentor if it's not immediate family.
Exactly. But imagine having nobody.
So that's what I'm saying. Good luck finding that. Say you don't have parents around. Say you don't have a mentor. The odds are already against you. And that's the hard part. And it's, how do you change that? And I don't have the complete answer. To me, I feel like it's in the local church, and that's the spirit of your area. We need to fill the gap that others can't, or politicians forget about, and not for some personal gain, glory, or anything other than just helping people pull them out of what could be. Maybe doing their lawn for free, maybe doing community outreach things, or using our talent, say a weightlifting class for kids. So now they're lifting at 6 a.m. instead of running the streets. I don't know. But whatever you're good at, I think that translates later, and it just comes down to what's your passion.
That's that service aspect.
Yeah.
Let's stay on that at the end, or let's come back to that at the end of the podcast, because I want to go back to you and you're back. So you were in high school, sophomore. You're going to Oklahoma every weekend. Tell us what happens. How did you get the 5-star? Yeah, let's get there.
So mom's sick, Florida, all that. It's wrapped up. Great. So what now? What? Moved to Oklahoma. I moved to the coach that I was flying to.
Oh, you moved? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I went to 4 high schools in 4 years. So you want to get a little weirder with the 5-star. 4 high schools, 4 years. Okay. So first Nebraska, second Florida, third Oklahoma, country, 45 minutes from the airport. Remember my dad flies 3 days a week? Yeah. 45 minutes there and back every time he takes a trip for a connecting flight to go run his job.
Because Oklahoma doesn't you don't get direct.
Dallas,
you got to go to Dallas and then someone
Chicago,
else.
boom. Yeah, every time. Didn't complain. Son, I want you to live your best life. So we're out in the country, town of 2,500, Jones, Oklahoma. No offers, remember. We're moving at this point for no promise other than just what our calling is. Yeah. Well, my brother went to Japan and studied abroad for the last 6 months, so he was out of the picture. He was actually over there during the tsunami and everything, which was pretty fun. But yeah, no, that's a whole nother crazy story. Anywho, back to this. But so I'm going in, remember, 5-star. So junior year, nothing. Haven't played it down. We hit the camp series, and that's what I'm so excited about for this. So everything I've done is equated to football. And the process that worked to get to 5-star, that's your kind of like, I made it, and if you accept that or not, whatever. Cool, 5-star, I'm just here to play football. Business, cool, you've made it, I'm just here to do business. That's just what I love to do. Anywho, so go to my camp series, hit Rivals, All-American, Under Armour All-American, all the camp series to get noticed, and then start hitting schools. So hit Indiana first. I had to beg for them to pay attention to me. Really, my coach did. He called in a favor. Seth Luttrell, he actually coached at North Texas, became the head coach. But anywho, he played for my coach, Dickinson, in college. And he's like, Seth, I can't get anyone to take a look at this kid. I've never steered you wrong, and I don't say this often. take a look at this kid. He's ready. And, man, sure enough, I go out there. I throw well. I throw just how I throw every day out in the shadows. I throw nothing changed except the field, the stadium, the coaches, and I'd see other kids crumble under pressure. And I'm just throwing. I'm still out in that field in Oklahoma just throwing. And I still remember, so this is my first offer. This is summertime, haven't played a snap, comes up, fat dip in, takes it out, whips it like a hockey puck, says, we're going to offer you a scholarship. David, how do you feel about that? And I'm like, feels great. Thanks, coach. And I still remember that feeling as the first, like, you're talking 8-9 years of grind, of doing footwork in a basement because there's snow on the ground, and I have a speed ladder in the basement, of working just form, not throwing because my ceiling's too low, just form 250 times a day while I watch TV. Spiral drill on my back to make sure the ball looks pretty because that's what they like.
At that time, who made you do this? Was it your dad? It was you? No.
He made me jump rope because he read that Tom Brady did jump rope. But I just wanted to be the best. I wanted.
It's amazing.
It started with, like, I wanted people to see that I worked hard and that I had that validation, and it grew into, I love big projects. I love things that take forever to build. You grind every day, and this is why I love to be a dad one day. Is I think that's the ultimate thing, is you watch this thing grow from nothing to you,
Exactly.
him, me. And seeing that as a father, I can't wait to watch that experience. When it happens. But just now I see that from my father. He didn't have to tell me at a certain point. He did. He'd force me to go, Dave, we're not going to go to the lake today. You're going to go throw. And I tried to break his finger when he was catching for me because I'm not at the lake. But every day he pushed me until I didn't have to be pushed anymore. And now here we are, and that's never left. So the football career is left. Bama's left. The championships have left. The work ethic is seared into my brain. And it's called the process because it was seared into my brain. The same way as your parents. Nick Saban sears it into your brain. And you either get on board or you get out. And to me, that's the real gift, is that never leaves you. And it won't leave me as long as I live.
I want to ask you this. For the people that are listening out there right now, and they're not involved in sports, not involved in football, how can they apply what you just said to their lives right now?
So I think everyone comes from a position of starting at the bottom. So even, so we say you're just running copies for your manager. I would tell you, do what the greatest did at Bama. Every day you're running copies, but in your early time or after work, you got to come early and stay late if you want it. And that's what you got to establish. What do I want, and do my actions match that? And that's what every player, I want to be a first overall player. Okay, do your actions match that? And luckily we had a blueprint. It's harder when you have to guess. So if you don't have that mentor, if you don't have the parent you have to guess how far you have to go. So I would look at the most successful person, see what they do, and copy it, and then beat them.
He got him the Jason Derulo. Remember?
Yeah.
What he talked about how, so Jason, Ed Milet interviewed Jason Derulo, and Jason Derulo said, at the end of the day, you got to really evaluate who you're comparing yourself to. Because if you're comparing yourself to people that are local around you, what kind of standard are they setting? So for him, he compared himself to Michael Jackson. And so it's like putting something like that, you know what I'm saying, to always push you, elevate you.
Ooh, yeah.
That's
I mean,
tough.
what I'm hearing, and this transcends sports, is just preparation's the separation, straight up, in everything, right? But the competition piece, what I want to hit on there is you weren't competing with just kids in Nebraska. Your dad wasn't trying to get you as good as the kids in the local high school.
Yeah.
He had this bigger vision for you, and competition wasn't just around you. So if you're somebody that's at a company of 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, and you are saying, gosh, I'm better than the 2 or 3 people at my level or my peers, look further.
Come on.
Go to a
Start
conference.
doing what they're doing.
See.
Get inspired. Find a mentor. Get uncomfortable. Because that's what I had to do too, right? I know that's what you had to do. That's what you had to do. Is if you keep competing at that level that you're currently at, your vision isn't going to be big enough. You're not going to get uncomfortable enough. And what happens, right? If you get uncomfortable, you grow. If you grow, if you start to believe, wow, I spend time with that person a couple levels above me. Once I spend time with that person, they're not that different than me. Now I start to believe. When I start to believe, I start to grow. that is what you're hitting on.
And oh my gosh, bro, you just got something just hit me right now. And it's going back to your dad and about belief. We always talk about belief on this podcast, right?
It's huge.
How is this not belief when you're sending your kid 2 times a month to Oklahoma? You're investing in your son because you see something that no one else sees.
Yeah. David, I think I know the answer to this, but there's a lot of people that they feel like when you look back on something, it's easy to say how hard you worked.
Mm-hmm.
I have a different answer to this, but I think you're going to have a similar one. You're in Oklahoma. You're doing all of that stuff. That's not a couple months. There's years of work in there. How many times did you think to yourself, this is not going to work out?
Be honest.
I may have questioned at times. Once I found my ability, so there's something called the slot as a quarterback. If you learn how to throw correctly and you never forget it, it's like riding a bike. So until I found that all the time. And when I found that and I hit a curl route in the face, Davis Park, Jacksonville, Florida, 13 times in a row in the face. And my coach called my dad and said, you need to come out here and see this. And he's like, what happened? Is he hurt? He's like, no, you need to come out here and see this. And I couldn't lose it after that. Wow. It just hits a slot from so many reps, so much work, and you're just ripping it every time in the same slot. And I remember hitting that, and that's the first time. So up to that point, yes, a lot of doubt, question, why am I doing this? And when you find that validation or that just boom, I was like, never again. Yeah, and again, as a quarterback is so key, but also a quarterback equates to business leader. If you're leading a business or a family, if you don't have confidence in yourself, if you don't have confidence in what you're doing, you either need to look at what you're doing or you need to get that confidence. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't show that to people either I'm above or need to put on a certain message. I just don't show no confidence. Even if you're at home looking in the mirror like, how are you going to do this? Like, how am I going to do this? I'm one to keep that to myself. And then I just grind away. So my confidence eventually is going to match what I'm doing, even if I don't. So it's year 1 versus year 5. I'm going to look the same the entire time because I don't want to show anything. It's kind of like chess. I don't want to show you my strategy. I'm just going to keep working keep moving those pieces until the pieces matches. Right? Exactly. And there's something about, and I hate the phrase of it, but fake it till you make it. But a lot of the guys I've seen, I know they're not as confident as they are, but they trick themselves into it, and it's just kind of human nature. You're like, doing a heavy lift. Well, how are you going to lift if you say, I can't lift this? You might break your back. Mm-hmm. What if you go up to the bar and dominate it? You might do 10 pounds more than you thought on your max because just the mindset and how powerful your mind is. Yeah. It just
facts.
It hits different. And so you faked it and you made it. Great. And it's like, like I said, I kind of hate the phrase, but at the same time, it's like that confidence. Like,
I just think you're hitting on something big to where if you think you believe it, you start to believe it.
And others believe it.
that part too.
But here's the thing. Confidence without work, people notice.
Faith without works is dead.
So there are a lot of people that can make it a few months, sometimes even a few years with just the talking heads on social media or, walking on their toes with a puffed up chest. Yep. Eventually, and I know a lot of people like this, people find out. Mm-hmm. People find out about character and work.
Yeah, come on.
So you can keep changing what you do all the time, keep leasing cars, keep leasing.
don't get me started.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
Don't get me started.
This is real. This is real. And you're going to fool a lot of people along the way until they find out. And they will find out all the time.
Come on.
Because eventually you get caught.
You get exposed.
Because you're not working.
Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, it happened in football. You have a good camp, you have a good game in high school, you get the 4-star rating, you take the scholarship at a top 5 school, even though you're not there and you know you're not there. And eventually you either get exposed and you're like, I'm not good enough. Mm-hmm. And once again, that's the fake it but never made it and stopped working because I got the stars. And if you want to equate to football, the same as business. It's
I
tough.
got the promotion and I stopped.
Yeah. So that's the difference between Nick Saban and the process at Alabama is we were sitting on 5 championships in that era, yet we worked as if we had 0. every day. So, and if you want something, maybe we should have done the lead up to this. But when we won a championship, when the confetti fell, they told us how I was going to feel, and I didn't believe them. The same way I didn't believe my high school coach when he told me high school football is going to be the peak feeling of your career. Not in a bad way, in a good way, because it's the last time you're not playing for money and you're playing for your boys on a Friday night under the lights for a town. And it's the purest form of football.
That's real.
It's the purest form of football. And when college hits and you have class, you have different things. Now you have money. NFL is so much different. Anywho, but when the confetti fell at Bama, they said you're going to have about 60 seconds of pure bliss. And then it's going to go back to reality. Sure enough, confetti fell. Run on the field, pure bliss. And then it hit me. Spring ball starts in a month. Classes start in 4 days. Workouts start in 2 weeks.
And Saban just took his interview and said, it's about next year now.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yes. Like
It gets clipped up all the time now. People are like, this guy's a psychopath. And part of it's, he is.
So we were all in the same boat. We know it started. So we do push-ups at the end of every workout for how many titles we had. It was 16. It was 15. When we won and that 60 seconds was over, I hate to say this, all I could think about was that extra push-up at the end of that workout now. I'm like, we're going to have to do 16 push-ups now. I can barely do 15 at the end of a long, strenuous workout.
It's not at the beginning.
And we're counting out. And it just, every time, once again, we're searing in the process. Man. You got 15? Great. We're going for 16.
I haven't heard that. That's legit.
Yeah. Okay, so you get 5-star rating.
Yep.
You commit to Alabama.
Yep.
Tell us what it's like at Alabama. You gave us a little sizzle. Let us know what it's really like there.
So you walk in, you're rating everything. Everyone has it.
Wait, you were the #1 quarterback, though, right? In the country, not just 5-star?
Yeah, I was #1 pro style. Deshaun was #1 dual threat. And he was my roommate. So, I mean, I guess we could touch a little bit more.
He was your roommate.
So we did Elite 11. Look, this can go a long time, and this is just about a third. So I'm trying to be respectful of your podcast and your time when doing this. But once Indiana hit, then Auburn called, and Auburn called. When an SEC school calls you, the floodgates open. So I went from one offer. Auburn was my second to Alabama. Immediately sent me 5 pounds of recruit mail. So I have 40 pounds of recruit mail. And I love this because it's never going to happen again because we have social media and NIL.
But I still have my letters too. You still
me
got
too,
yours?
my shoebox.
My mom has a tub and I'm glad she kept it. It's a giant, and we weighed it one day. I'm like, great. Anywho, when all those caught up, you get Elite 11 because Bama's not going to have their quarterback, not an Elite 11. So you see how this works in business too. If you're a JP Morgan, they're not going to let certain employees not have certain things or certain images. Just that's the company image, and top companies alike. So same as football. And they expect you to behave a certain way, expect you to perform a certain way to Elite 11. So I get to go out to Nike World headquarters as a 17-year-old. 200 of us for a 7-on-7 tournament and Elite 11, which is the top 18 quarterbacks in the country. I was favored to win. I didn't win. I tweaked my ankle 3 weeks before. I didn't tell anyone. I pushed through it, and I threw like garbage, and I got embarrassed on the biggest stage in front of Aaron Rodgers. I threw a ball at one point so bad that it bounced and hit Marshawn Lynch, and he wouldn't give me my football back. I said, "Hey, Mr. Lynch, can I have my football?" He said, "Nah." I was like, "Well, what do I do?" And he's like, "I don't know." I'm just like, okay. And I just went back and didn't throw for like 2 minutes and then got a football eventually. But it's just funny stuff like that. So I say all that to say I met a lot of great people. And that was the first time you talk about being in your area. No one was touching me in Oklahoma. They would come out. They'd try to throw like me in workouts, and I would take pride in showing you how much work I put in.
Dominating him. Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Because you'd come out, you
did the work.
You have a giant target on your back, especially in those
And
small
they think
areas.
that you're not that good.
Exactly.
Let me
They
show
come
you
out and
quietly.
throw. And that's we'd start kind of neck and neck, and then the coach is like, "All right, let's make this 18-yard comeback across the field. It's a 40-yard throw. And you got to put it on the line." And I'd throw it hitting the guy in the head, and the other guy would hit the side of the barn.
Right on the rope.
Yeah, and it felt great. And then I kind of be nice, but I'd look at him and be like, "We're not we're not the same.
Yeah.
You got to have it as a quarterback. I'm sorry. I like to be humble, and I really hate saying stuff like that, but you have to have that.
I knew you had to have that dog in you.
You have to.
Because in order to have success in anything at that level, you have to. It's the same in business, by the way. Like,
come on, man.
It's the same with,
It's the same, man. That is what fires me up.
Listen, the talks that me and Matt have off camera, y'all would be like, what?
Well, no, it's just like this. It's the sicko in you. You have to convince yourself, like, they're not doing this.
Yeah.
And yet I'm here.
And you like
feel,
that.
Feel that.
Come on.
Feel that, right? I don't have to say anything. I've told you this before in private. Like when you win a big deal or you beat somebody and you don't have to say anything. I'm addicted to that feeling of just, you feel that.
But for you, it's even sweeter because they hate on you. They prey on your downfall.
For sure.
They prey on your downfall.
Same with, dude, nobody preys on a downfall more than a five-star.
Come on.
Same thing.
Right? But hold on. You're getting to something crazy. You went from literally no stars to with a chip on your shoulder to 5 stars with a target on your back.
And nothing changed.
Did you just hear that?
Every day. Every day. On the field. Every day.
Oh, my gosh,
Same field.
Bruh.
Same field, Jones, Oklahoma. Same field, Choctaw Middle School in Oklahoma. Same day, working the same way. Give me the start. Yeah, my Twitter blew up a bit because you learn as an 18-year-old what fame looks like when guys are when fans are in your mentions and how to handle that. And I am a little upset about the person that made me into. I think we touched on that. I can't remember if that was on the pod or not or before, but the person it turns you into, and that's what society does. And I'm very glad I had my dad and my mom. They were watching like a hawk on social media. You will handle yourself with respect. You will not disrespect people or fan bases, and you will conduct yourself, commit, and move forward. Anything even on the line was deleted of a tweet. And I'd swear it'd be like 5 minutes after I posted it, I don't think you should be tweeting that, David. And I'm like, yeah, she's probably right. But other 5 stars, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You have character, you have integrity, and this is bigger than football.
And it's about your last name.
So imagine the articles written if I went acting a fool on social media, or what would Coach Saban say, or what would my teammates say when I got there. And that's what I learned, and this is the power of Alabama football, and what I think can translate to everyone in business is it's the power of your culture. So we're seeing a little bit of NIL crisis with Alabama. They're done. They almost lost to USF or whatever, blah, 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 blah. What people don't realize is because of what Coach Saban's dealing with, and he will get it fixed. I can guarantee that. When you walk in as a freshman, a coach doesn't grab you, Nick Saban doesn't grab you, your strength coach talks to you, and your position teammates talk to you, and you say, you conduct yourself this way, you don't do this, you don't do this, and if you do this, you'll find out what happens. Eventually, you do this, you be a freshman, you do something dumb, someone grabs you by the shirt, you're in there at 5 a.m. the next morning, pushing a 45-pound plate around the gym until the coach gets tired. And then your position coach and your teammates get on you. You know why? Not because you embarrass yourself, or it's because you let the team down. You let the culture down. And that's the minute you get in the door. So when you're a sophomore, you still don't know it completely yet, but you're better. When you're a junior, that's when you get the brand in your brain of the process. Now it's your responsibility to talk to the freshmen. And if you didn't go to the NFL, now you're a senior, you're even more important to talk to the freshmen, and that's where I'm seeing. So pulling this all together with NIL, if I got money, I don't have to stay there and take that anymore. The minute we signed our name in the past, it was 3 to 4 years, you're locked in, or it's a year to transfer. Now it's I can transfer whenever. I don't have to build the culture, and I'm getting paid. 2 very toxic things, and Saban has his work cut out for him here. We'll see if he pulls it off. I would never bet against guys that work hard, have the process, and proven champions.
Yeah, he's obsessed.
I don't bet against those guys. I don't root on their downfall. I watch them work. Instead of rooting for them to fail, I take what they do, and I try to copy it every single day until we become the same.
Matt, I think he's getting on a great business point too, and I think you can answer this question because you have over 50 employees working for Commit. We see turnover a lot, right? What does that do to a company?
Well, you have to have a career path now. So you have to have a path in football too.
Yeah.
So like my biggest job is to make sure people understand the vision and their own individual. Like the vision has to be big enough for the company, that everybody that's an equivalent of a freshman has a path to become a senior. That is a win for the company and win for the individual. So that's my job. I never really thought about NIL being such a shakeup like that, but it's true. Yeah. They don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
Because there's no incentive to do that. So his whole foundation of success was the process.
And if you lead the process, then there goes your formula.
Yeah, well, he's got to tweak it. And his point is he's going to
will.
tweak it. But it's the same in business, right? You have to create a culture. What I love is that the team was administering the culture and holding people accountable for the culture without the coaches, without the strength team. It was, together, we are not going to make it if you don't do your piece, and I'm going to hold you accountable.
Even as a freshman.
It's that radical accountability, man. That's huge. That's
It really
what football
is.
taught me.
Yeah, and then when that freshman had to step up because 2 guys got injured and they had to go on the road at Mississippi State, who's not going to beat you straight up, but when 3 safeties are injured and that freshman has to step on and they've been drinking since Tuesday, you're going to lose that game because they're going to blow coverage. You're going to lose the deal because that analyst was out till 2 a.m. partying and didn't understand the importance that I might have to step in here. And if you want to take that to business, I don't manage multiple people, but what I would do is I'd put them in those situations.
But you manage multiple figures. 8-figure plus.
Yeah, it's that brings a lot of stress and other things, and then finding a way to manage all that. It's day by day. And once again, that's the beauty of this. So at Alabama, I had a chance to ask him, what would I have made as an NIL 5-star, whatever? And I was really reluctant to hear the answer. Do you have any guesses? I'll let you guys guess.
1.5 million.
2 mil?
Okay, it was about 1.4.
Ooh, you were right there, man.
It was
Well,
1.4.
I've just seen some of these numbers thrown around.
Oh, bro, they said Shador's about to make 10 mil next year.
He's different.
10
Like,
mil.
he's different.
Why
That's
do you need to
wild.
go to the NFL?
He's already got the Rolls Royce.
Bro,
and he owns it.
Yeah. Wait, so we probably have 15 minutes left. Let's get
right?
into wealth management.
Business aspect,
So
yes.
I don't even have to ask the question of what did you learn from sport that transcend business. We've already talked about that for 45 minutes. That's here. But when did you close the loop on football?
Yep.
Because if I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, gosh, why is this guy not play on Sundays? Right. So finish that piece, and then how did you get into wealth management, and give us an update on what you're doing now?
a great
And it sounds like we're going to have to do a part 2. So
Yeah.
we'll have
Yeah.
him on later, y'all,
Yeah.
to elaborate more on
you
these
guys
stories.
didn't know this, but this is about a 3-hour process if we went through everything. So I really
Facts.
wanted to respect your time and the podcast, and
Yeah.
once again bring this to people that are listening, because that's important to me. If I walked this and it never left my circle, my people, it would be such a failure, because I don't know who's listening, but I want them to understand that this has been walked and what things I learned. So anywho, how it translates, and why it didn't work out. So I snapped my foot in high school. It was the biggest preseason scrimmage of all time in Oklahoma. So it was a guy who was going to Oklahoma and I was going to Alabama. They had our face on the front page of the paper. Literally the whole front page was a split of our faces. It was really ugly. I don't know whose idea it was, but anywho.
Are you saying he was ugly?
No.
Imagine your face and my face on a paper.
The face is good. The right side is bad.
We looked like Two-Face from Batman. It was like, whose idea was that? Some Oklahoma stuff. But anywho, everyone was hype. He hurts his hamstring in the first quarter. We were talking a lot of trash, and I throw a ball. This guy hits me late, and as he shoves me, I'm backpedaling. I twist my ankle, or what I thought twisted my ankle, and I'm hurting. So I ended up taking like probably 4 to 8 Advil before every game to play, and I thought I just had a tweaked ankle. Anywho, I go in for a routine surgery at Bama 3 years later. They x-ray my foot and say, David, your foot is broken. I'm like, oh, well, it doesn't hurt. And they're like, well, it doesn't hurt? I'm like, no. They're like, okay, you're good. You're fine. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So during the time my ACL was torn and healing, all that
They found all
inflammation
that other
left my
stuff.
foot. Yep.
Yeah.
And they x-rayed and they're like, well, it's not inflamed. Anywho, sparks up my last year at Bama, my 3rd year. I can't walk. And I'm like, it's been like 8 months since they found it. And I'm like, okay, hey, I'm ready for surgery. They're like, well, it's a little late for that, David. I'm like, what do you mean it's surgery? They're like, well, now the bone is separated a little bit more and we didn't do surgery. We can do a surgery. And I think you guys understand where this is going. When they say I can do a surgery, that means And what they told me is 40% success rate. The last person we did this on was a goalkeeper in the MLS, and he hasn't played since, and it's been 2 years. So my navicular bone is still chipped and snapped off in my foot as we speak. That season, when I couldn't walk, team culture, everything I built at Bama, I ran 20,000 plays on the scout team for the team.
Damn.
I counted. I kept the scripts, counted up the plays. I ran 20,000 plays on a broken foot by myself on the scout field for the company or for the team culture. And so I never lost that. They did an exploratory surgery on my foot. I limped around every day at Nevada when I transferred at the Division II school. But I wouldn't show it. So I'd get home, I'd put my foot up, I'd ice, I'd do everything. Yeah. And I kept going. So anywho, that goes into the training for the NFL. So when the doctor for the NFL told me, you're never going to play again, no one will draft you, everything. And I'm running stocks, running money at Bama, like investing. Everything's going well. I had every reason to quit. I had every reason to walk away, make whatever, 6 figures, start the internship at JP Morgan, do all the cool stuff. But what I would have felt leaving with that on the table, my whole life I would have wondered, what if? So I didn't wonder what if. I told the doctor, can I hurt it worse? No, it's already broken, buddy. Thanks. I'm going to play. And he's like, you can play through the pain. You can do it. So I'd get a shot like every other week after practice, after a long, hard Thursday practice, get a shot so I could play and just practice for my team, not to play. I wasn't ever close. Jalen was there at the time, and which would be a whole nother story. But this was just a practice for my team. So anywho, yeah. So, but I trained for 3 years for the NFL. So from 2018 when I left to 2021, I trained 4 lifts a week, 3 throwing sessions a week, every 8 weeks in cycles with 2 weeks off for a small vacation for 3 years. So when you asked me to go to John Reed when I first moved here, I had just done 7, sometimes 8 workouts a week for 3 years every single day or during that process. And I just wanted a little bit of a break so I could work that hard in something other than football. And when I walked away, I looked at my, at the time, fiance, now wife, and I said, I think I'm going to hang it up. No one's calling. I was at the point where I could put the ball kind of anywhere I wanted to, but I didn't have the game film to follow that up. And I didn't want to go. My dream was never to play in the XFL or USFL. It was go to the NFL. NFL, yeah. And I'd love to put numbers on here because this is what drove me. And I think you'll like the numbers too. Show me a job in the world that's more scarce than an NFL quarterback. So you have 90 players. You have about anywhere between 55 active at any time. So this is a job in the world where you are one of 55 people that are active every Sunday. Mm-hmm. There's CEOs. There's maybe one CEO of Apple, but there's multiple CEOs around the country. I don't know of a single job that only has 55 people that can do it and gets paid that much. Mm-hmm. That's what drove me. And I wanted that. I wanted them to call the whole time. I couldn't get it, but that didn't stop my work ethic. So when I got to a point where I could put a ball anywhere I wanted to with a perfect spiral and a perfect drop, I had taken myself as far as I could go, regardless of if they called.
Yeah, peace.
Plot twist. They never called. Yeah. They never called. Man. And I didn't care because I still have that tape of me throwing. And I know that's 12 years longer. Call it 12 years because that was my number. 12 years of hard work to get to the point of perfecting your craft as much as you can. And the reason I told this entire backstory and didn't talk about business is because that's who I am. And that's exactly what I did in business. Come on. So the last 2 years, I've crafted in the shadows. Your typical financial portfolio goes through market crashes. It's not liquid until you're a certain age and you experience tons of volatility and rules and limits. I set out every single day to build a strategy that doesn't participate in market crashes, compounds interest, is liquid and accessible, and it gives people the freedom to be who they want to be. Because that's all I see in money. Some people worship money. They love money, all this different stuff. How can you manage money without doing that? Well, it's just, to me, it's a tool to get you to be what you were going to be and what you want to do. Now, the hard part is figuring out what you want to do. Mm-hmm. When money's taken care of, when you don't have to worry about anything like that, the hard part is figuring out what you're truly meant for. Yeah. I know you mentioned public speaking. Mm-hmm. I don't know if what you do is what you really want to do or if there's a bigger thing if money didn't matter.
Oh, there's another step to this.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So and that's a very personal question, but yeah. Yeah.
Nah, man, so we got to wrap it up right now, bro.
I know, yeah.
But we definitely need to get you on for a part 2, man, because we need to open up this 8-figure plus wealth management you're doing.
Yeah.
But for time being, bro, last question, man. Who does David want David to be?
Every day I want to wake up and be the same. So Coach Saban took it to a certain level. He even ate the same meal every day of the week. I don't want to be that far, but every day I want to wake up. I want to work hard for my family, for my wife. I want to be a man of honor, character, and I want to bring the lessons I learned at Alabama to the financial world, and I want people to experience the financial freedom of what it means to compound money and live the life they want to live.
Amen. David, man, thank you so much for being on the show, bro. We're going to have a part 2. Audience, y'all let us know if you want this man back, but we need to hear so much more,
the
man.
Build up, the building in the shadows is a badass term.
Dude, we love that. We're going to steal that. You're going to hear this on the next podcast.
We all do it.
Building in the shadows, man. Joker
Well, the
style.
good ones do it.
Hey, we out, baby. Enter Pump. Peace.
I never mess up the commas. You know I put that on my mama. Well, that's all we got for this episode of Inner Pump. One thing that would really help both of us and other new potential listeners is for you to rate this show and leave a comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Also, make sure to check us out at innerpump.com on social media, and if you enjoyed this episode and received anything of value, please share this podcast with anyone you think might enjoy it. Until next time, we out, baby. Inner Pump. Peace.